thank you all for coming this evening. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to stop by. What we're going to talk about just briefly this evening is revenue recovery for emergency medical services. And I'll preface all my comments by saying this isn't a done deal by any means. This is something that the staff of the town are investigating. We've put out a request for proposals for vendors for information on how the process would be handled. But before this would ever be implemented, town council would actually have to enable it. So just so that you're aware, right now it's a concept, something that we're working towards implementing, but it's not a done deal at this point. We like to refer to revenue recovery with the slogan, outcomes before incomes. And the reason for that is, we're talking about charging people when they call an ambulance and are transported to the hospital, but we don't want the misunderstanding to come that money has now become more important than patient care, because it hasn't. The focus of this program is to allow us to enhance our services so that we do have better patient outcomes and we do get better patient care. So the focus for our program is actually patient outcomes before incomes. So that's really important to remember. I think that's kind of the essence of the way we're going to move forward with this. So what is revenue recovery? What is this process that we're talking about? It is an established funding stream for emergency medical services. Revenue recovery is used in some form by EMS agencies across the Commonwealth and across the country. It is really the standard mechanism for funding emergency medical services. Why would we do it? The town and the county provide substantial funding support for emergency medical services. The budget figure up there, $588,000, is actually just a portion of the budget that is dedicated to the rescue department. What I have removed from there is the amount that is allocated to pay for part of the dispatch staff, for other town costs that work to benefit Rescue Squad. $588,000 in direct support to the Rescue Squad in town. It's a very substantial amount of support for which we're very appreciative. In addition to that, Montgomery County allocates almost $100,000. So every fiscal year we get about $687,000 in local government support between the two entities. That may seem like a lot of money, but when you start breaking down the costs of doing business for an emergency medical services agency, we can see why we need to develop this funding stream or tap into this funding stream to help support this. One ambulance, the most recent ambulances we just purchased, $189,000 a piece. And that doesn't include the equipment. That is just an ambulance, a shell. So in addition to that, we would have to put in a cardiac monitor at over $22,000, a stretcher at over $7,000, and the costs add up and they keep adding up and keep adding up. Biomedical equipment is very, very expensive. And so this is one reason why it takes a lot to fund an EMS agency. A response vehicle costs about $40,000. And there's a lot of other capital items that we ask for every year that aren't in addition to these two things. They're very expensive, whether it's supplies for our crash rescue vehicles, different biomedical equipment, things for the building, a lot of capital expenses that have to be funded. And we're all aware, times are tough. Even if they start to boom again, it's cyclical, and there'll be times when governments have to make tough decisions. What revenue recovery allows us to do is kind of even that out and make sure that emergency medical services always have a funding stream. It's really important. This makes a dedicated funding stream from this point forward. So who primarily pays for revenue recovery? There's three primary payers. Number one is Medicare. Across the country, the biggest payer for ambulance transport is Medicare. The second biggest payer is private insurance, and the third is Medicaid. And based on the research we've done in this area, this is very similar to how we would break down and who would end up paying the recovery bills. So the question is then asked, what happens if people don't have insurance? And that's really what I want to talk about tonight. It's really important to make sure that no myths or rumors or misconceptions pop up about our program and why outcomes before incomes is really what we're talking about. People that don't have insurance are referred to as self-pay. So instead of having Medicare, Anthem, Blue Cross, one of the other private insurance companies, or Medicaid, these people are financially responsible for their own ambulance transport. So the question is asked, well, why don't you just not send them a bill? If somebody doesn't have insurance, just don't send them a bill. That's against the law, and that's why we can't do it. Federal law says if you bill Medicare for ambulance transports, then you have to bill every single person you transport. Otherwise, you're committing fraud against Medicare. So we have a legal obligation from the federal government. If we bill, we have to bill everybody. So we can't just simply say this category of people we don't bill. It doesn't work that way. It's not allowed. However, what we are allowed to do, and especially since we're local government and not a private corporation, we have the ability to do compassionate billing, which means we can work with people that don't have financial needs. If you don't have insurance, and you truly don't have the means to pay that ambulance bill in total or in part, we can work with you. We can develop payment plans. We can develop plans that over a period of time may write off a portion of what you owe. But the key thing is we have that ability to do compassionate billing. So some of the things that we're not planning on doing, we don't want to do. No garnishing wages because you call 911. No foreclosing on somebody's house because they had to take out a loan to pay their ambulance transport. We're not putting anybody in debtor's prison. It's really important to understand that's not the focus of this program. The focus of this program is to enhance service delivery and enhance patient care, not to go after the income. So if people don't have insurance, and don't have the means to pay for it, that's no barrier to calling 911. They're still going to respond. Matter of fact, the people who are answering the call and taking care of them are not going to know if these people are going to be able to pay the bill. It's not part of what they'll be doing, so it's seamless. The important thing is these people should call 911, and if they have trouble with the bill, local government can work with them in a compassionate billing system. So if you want to compare some of the concerns people might have, when we talk about somebody who has chest pain and they're having a cardiac event, a standard ambulance transport, kind of look at an average across the country, would cost about $600. That's what the bill would be. The stay in a critical care unit or coronary care unit plus the cardiac cath is going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars. So this is the real number of concern for people who don't have insurance, is the big number on this side. The ambulance transport is a relatively small amount of their bill. The process for the crew, the members of the rescue squad, is very similar. They run the call just like they always do. It's no different for them. They get the patient to sign a form saying that we took you to the hospital and you're going to let us send off a bill to your insurance. They get the patient's insurance data. Quite frequently, the hospital already has it. And the call gets uploaded to the state database as it always does. There's no change for us in that. Then a vendor would go out and retrieve that information from the state database. A bill would be generated and sent off to that patient's insurance company. Normally what the patient will end up receiving is simply an explanation of benefits. In a lot of cases, they're not even going to receive any sort of bill. They're just going to get an explanation of benefits saying, you had this ambulance transport to XYZ hospital, and we paid this, and that's the end of it. So the patient may or may not have a copay. We're actually structuring our proposed pricing structure so that the copays will be minimized. So in a lot of cases, the patient may not even receive a bill at all, just the explanation of benefits. So some potential uses. Well, as I already alluded to, we really want to have this dedicated stream for ongoing operational support. We said the town and the county fund us very well. They take good care of us. But we want a stream that continues that support and can smooth out any dips in the cycles. It's really important because it's an expensive business. We also really want to focus on enhancing service. And this is what I talk about with outcomes before incomes. There's a lot of things that we could obtain and do that are cost prohibitive right now. The first could be emergency medical dispatch. This is trained and certified dispatchers who stay on the phone with the caller and give them pre-arrival instructions. It really is a benefit to the patients. It's really a benefit to the people running the calls. It's also very expensive because it requires you to have extra dispatchers on every shift. It's an expensive proposition. This is one of the things that we could potentially use this money for. Enhancements to our radio system. We have a really good radio system in the town right now, but it's got some age on it, and looking down the road, we'd like to do some things to enhance our ability to communicate with our neighboring agencies. Radio systems are very, very expensive. A satellite station has been mentioned. And that's something maybe perhaps in the next decade or so we would look to establish a second station. This money could be used to help fund that project. Supplemental advanced life support staffing. Right now, the rescue squad has really, really good basic life support staffing. We're covering our calls at a phenomenal rate. We very rarely turn over a call to any other agency. In fact, I think we are assisting other agencies now more than we actually turn over calls. And that's usually only when we get 4 or 5 calls at one time. But what we have a need for is advanced life support providers. These are people you would call paramedics. In Virginia, it's very hard now to become and remain a paramedic. Much harder than it was when I initially became a paramedic. And so to make sure that we have ALS staffing at all times, when you need ALS staffing, it's your call. We're going to hire in some part-time, flex-time ALS staff. It's one of the uses for this program. I already mentioned biomedical equipment. There's additional biomedical equipment that we would like to investigate having that we think would really help patient outcomes. But right now, it's really cost prohibitive. Some of these pieces of equipment cost as much as a large SUV or a car. They're very expensive. So this is the kind of things that we would invest in. That's kind of a high-level overview. Any questions based on what I talked about already? Sir?
I just wanted to ask, when you say, when you kind of refer back to the no insurance and how you work with some of those folks that might maybe not be able to pay, you mentioned pay a portion. Does that mean somebody that might not be financially equipped to pay that full bill out, you would maybe say, okay, you know what, part of that payment plan will be to pay a portion of this and we can write off the rest?
That's kind of the details. Adam is actually working on that portion of the RFP, and that's the kind of details we haven't really worked out yet. But compassionate billing systems do things like that.
Good.
Becky, anything else? Yes, sir.
Well, I wasn't sure if you're going to do this later or not, but I know you're looking into different organizations that are going to handle the billing for you, and
Yes,
I
sir.
wasn't sure if that's what Adam's working on.
That's what Adam's working on.
Well, Adam, you want to mention, what groups you have talked to, or what the status is on that, or how that's looking?
Right now, we have solicited proposals, and we received back, I think it's either 16 or 17 proposals. And we're underway, kind of going through those now, and evaluating and that sort of thing. So we expect that to probably be, several weeks or maybe even a couple months out until we can actually decide on that. Then, of course, before signing a contract or anything like that, we would actually need council to take formal action and say that yes, we do want to move forward, yes, we do want to bill.
Obviously, council has to take formal action, but would it be way too early to speculate on how long before this might actually be put up to a vote? Or are we talking a year off or shorter?
I don't know. It still might be a little early to say. I know we kind of have a rough timeline, which put this taking place, I want to say maybe in the next 2 to 3 months for council to maybe be trying to make a decision on it. But of course, that's just making the decision to move forward. There's still other things that need to go into the, implementation phase and that sort of thing.
So there's really no timetable, I guess, on when this would actually be enacted and, I guess, the status quo.
I think we are hoping for sometime within the next 12 months to actually be up and running.
If approved.
If approved, yes, of course. Key detail.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, I'll be around for a while. If you have any other questions, I'll certainly be glad to answer and have them, of course, on the technical side of it.